Hey everybody, Kieran and Sherry Murray here again
Hi
with
guys.
Let's Talk About Northwest Wines, and we are here with another episode of Bottom of the Bottle, which
Yay.
bottom of the bottle comes from the fact that when we record this, we are on the second half of the bottle. We've already had the first half.
He's
Now we're
actually
enjoying the second
lying
half.
because the bottle is now empty because
Well,
he,
it's right here, but
yeah.
we're working on the bottom of the bottle right now. So, um, in these episodes, we feature a winery that we've been to. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about Spring Valley Vineyard out in Walla Walla. So we just came back from a 4-day trip. We did Walla Walla for a couple days and then the Red Mountain for a couple
Yep.
days. It was the first time that we've had a chance to really spend a lot of time well, not a lot of time, but at least a couple days in Walla Walla. Other times we're just out there for like the day, the afternoon, and it's kind of in and out real fast and back over to the Tri Cities.
And you always
This,
have to be careful on how many wine tastings that we're
yeah.
taking in because we have to drive back.
So this time it was we actually got a hotel room for a couple nights, had a total blast. Actually left our house on a Thursday morning like at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning to make it over there for our first tasting.
That's when you know you've become hardcore
Oh,
wine drinkers, is when you leave at 4 or you get up at 4 a.m. to be
leave
able
at
to get to a
5.
tasting.
I think our first tasting was at
11?
10:30. Maybe it was 11.
Maybe something like it was still
It was.
a.m.
I can tell you that when we finally went to bed that night, very early, slept hard because we had a number of tastings and no sleep. So,
We had some alcohol assisted
but we had a great dinner.
sleep.
So, Spring Valley Vineyard. So, we went to their downtown tasting room in Walla Walla. I think actually we were able to get in right when they opened back up. I think they've been closed. From what I've heard, I don't know this for sure, but I believe they also have a ranch outside of town that is phenomenal. Um,
Yeah,
and
huge.
we haven't been there yet. So we went to their downtown tasting room, which I think just opened up for like weekends. I think it has since now opened up 7 days a week. Um, but it was convenient to go to the tasting room because it's right in with everything else that's downtown. But I can't wait to go back and check out the ranch. Tonight we're having this awesome red wine that is just so smooth. Um,
It's actually called Frederick.
yep, it's called Frederick. So here was the cool thing about Spring Valley Vineyard that we loved. Number one, we went in and we made reservations. Highly encourage you to make reservations just to make sure you can get in at all these different wineries, especially during COVID. And we were seated and got to hang out with the tasting room guy whose name was Gene. Gene was awesome. Gene does a great job of representing Spring Valley Vineyard and telling the story. So I'm gonna have Sherry read what's on this bottle. But here was the cool part. Gene did a really good job of telling the story, and all these, or I don't know if all of them, but a lot of the wines that we tasted actually were named after people. So like this one right here, this is called Frederick. Now, their wines, like Frederick, actually was a person uh, in their
Family.
family in the wine history. So they just didn't at random make up a dude and name a wine after him. That didn't happen. Um, but this was someone in the family. So, and I wish I could remember the whole story, but Gene actually told us who the parents were, who the kids were, what wine was named after them, and he did superb. And when I was just looking at this bottle on the back, it actually talks about Frederick. So I'm going to let Sherry talk about Frederick. So she's going to put on these reading glasses here. She's going to look like a librarian, all sexy like and everything.
It kind of happens with age. So I think most of you, some of you, a few of you might be able to understand.
Mm.
But one of the things that I do remember that was really cool is that the owners of Spring Valley right now, husband and wife team, still own it, going strong, and they're both in their 80s. So that was kind of cool to hear all of that. So it's now story time, boys and girls,
Here's Frederick.
and no laughing. Oh my God, I can't see you, but I can see here. Okay, so Frederick continues our tribute to those who have gone before us here at Spring Valley. Frederick Corcoran was Uriah and Catherine's second son, the husband of Nina Lee, which we will absolutely have a bottom of the bottle on Nina Lee because that was kind of a fun thing.
How do you know it's not Nina Lee?
It might be Nina Lee. It's just the fact is we know somebody that's Nina Lee, so that's how I pronounced it. So it could be Nina, could be Nina. It's my story. Do you have the glasses on? Good boy.
I don't need them.
So he was, shut up. Yes, you do. So his greatest loves were his family, farming, and football, a game he played at Walla Walla's Whitman College, where he graduated in 1921. He farmed this ranch first with mules, which he loved, and was part of the generation that made the transition to motorized tractors and combines. He loved to grow wheat, and we suspect he would be proud of our vineyard too. This Frederick has a rich structure. It's mostly made from Cabernet Sauvignon from the 3 estate vineyards, Original, Steep Hill, and Cap Vineyard. So this is a 93% Cab Sauv, 5% Syrah, and 2% Cab Franc. Here ends the story.
So, I think
now I just have to drink it.
I think we had, when we were there in the tasting room, I think we had 4 different wines that were named after family members.
Yeah, so we had his parents. So we had Uriah and Catherine. We had, we had more. We had Frederick.
Nina
we
Lee.
had
Nina
Derby.
Lee. Oh, Derby.
And then we had Nina Lee. And then I think they had a Vineyard to start in their tasting as well, but it didn't have a family name. Are you impressed that I remembered that?
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, okay, you're welcome.
So,
I pay attention.
So this bottle is smoother than smooth.
Oh my gosh, it is so good.
We cracked this open and tried it, and then we added a little cheese. We added a little salami or something, and it was good without it, and it was even better with it. And
it's always good to make dinner. So dinner's in simmering, and I was drinking my wine while making dinner.
Yep. So we're just we're enjoying the fire pit behind us, having a glass of wine. So here's what I would highly recommend when you go to Walla Walla, and I'm not sure. I have no idea if they have a tasting room in Woodinville. We'll have to check that out. But
I don't know.
Here's what I'm sure of: they have a tasting room in Walla Walla. I believe they have a ranch in Walla Walla. I've been told.
We've heard it's spectacular.
I don't think the ranch is open, but the tasting room is open. I think the tasting room is open 7 days a week. So here's what I would encourage you to do: go check them out. Hopefully, I'm sure they all do a fabulous job. But if you happen to get Jean, tell Jean we said hello. Jean won't even remember us. Jean will probably never see this video, but anyway, it'll make him feel special when you say, "Hey, so and so told me to say hello," and he'll go, "Oh, that's great." I'll have no clue who we were. But he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. He did a great job of telling the story of all the family members and representing Spring Valley. The wine is just amazing. And by the way, when we took this last trip, we have, you're probably seeing this in our group and Let's Talk About Northwest Wines on a Facebook group. Maybe not. You might be seeing it somewhere else, maybe on YouTube or somewhere. But what the fun part was, there's almost 1,500 members in this group now. We just started on August 1st. So when we were making this trip to Walla Walla, we made a post there and said, okay, we're going to go to Walla Walla for 2 days. Where should we go? And everyone comes out of the woodwork, and that's exactly why we created the group on August 1st. We were sitting in our fifth wheel in a campground in McMinnville, Oregon, and we said we should start a group where we can ask people like where we should go wine tasting. And we thought we'd get like 5 or 10 people to join. We didn't think there'd be like 1,500 people joining in just the first 2.5 months. Probably by the end of the year, I think there's going to be maybe 2,500 people. I don't know. It's going crazy. But the fun part was we had no idea where to go, and we just put it in the group, and everyone said go here, go here. So all the places we went, including Spring Valley, were because somebody in the group said this is where you should go.
They were all
and
recommended.
I'm so glad that somebody said go to Spring Valley because it is phenomenal. We really enjoy this wine. Like I said, it's so smooth. But it was for us, when we go wine tasting, it's all about the
Experience.
So, a lot of people make really good wine, and it's really cool to find people who will make it a great experience as well. And Spring Valley Vineyard did that. They made a great experience. They tell the story, and it's just so cool. And you're like, by the time he's done telling the story, you feel obligated to buy some of the wines. You're like, you did such a good job. I just have to buy some wines, which we did. I don't know how many did we buy? Do you remember?
Just a couple. It was one of those that with the reservations being only an hour and we had to still get to our next reservation, we were a little short on time. So I have a feeling that Jean had more stories to share with us.
No, Jean did.
That we didn't get to hear. So we need to make sure that we are taking another trip back over to Walla Walla to visit Jean and to visit Spring Valley, because I really want to hear the end of the story. And so we just jetted out, unfortunately, really quickly. With two of the favorites that we had tasted that morning.
Really quickly, meaning an hour. It wasn't like 15 minutes. We were there for an hour, and that is still...
It's just not enough time.
It's not enough time for a proper wine tasting and to hang out with the wine owner, the winemaker, the wine representative, so that you can get to know the wines and get to know that winery. I mean, I think at a bare minimum, I think it's a good 90 minutes. Easily should be 90 minutes, so you can just relax and really,
But we also understand that with COVID and the shifts and changes that the wineries and the tasting rooms have had to make, we too as consumers will shift with them and do what we need to do to be able to still have a great experience, even if it is a lesser time than we would prefer. But I agree. I think 90 minutes is really the minimum tasting time that you should have to really experience and get a good feel for the wines in the winery.
Now, one of the things, this wasn't our first venture into Walla Walla. It was our third time, but it was the first time that we've got a hotel and we stayed for a couple nights, and so we went and ventured out and did some stuff. But what's cool about Walla Walla with their downtown, and actually you could probably talk about the downtown, the airport, but we'll talk about downtown and being kind of where you're got one reservation after another. The cool thing is those reservations, you could park once, and downtown has so many of them. We went to 4. We went to Spring Valley, Truth Teller, Mark Ryan, and Contos, and they were all within 2 blocks of each other.
Yes.
Which made it nice that even though we only had 60 minutes at each one, and it was a little bit rushed, we could still go. And the only place that we were rushed was when we went to Contos, and it wasn't because they rushed us or we were short on time. We were short on time because we we didn't screw up our dinner reservations. We thought it was for a later time. We looked at our watch and we're going, oh my gosh, we have to be there in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And we still had a great time. They were great wines. It was like, instead of doing a wine tasting, we were doing wine shots to get them all down. But
yeah, it was a little rough.
That's the cool part about Walla Walla, is that they have a whole bunch of them that are close to each other. When you go out into the south end, they're more spread apart, but it's a whole different vibe, whole different experience. When you're out at the airport, there's a whole bunch of them at the airport that...
But even in the south end, with as much time as it takes to drive, is as much time as it takes
you're
to
right
drive
next door to each other.
or walk 2 blocks.
So
it's not that far. It's just geographically further.
Yeah. So what I would do is, when you go, if you're going to spend a few days like we did, is take areas and put them together and like do the airport one day so that you can do, 3. We try to stay around 3 or 4.
It doesn't always work.
Some people we know do 6 or so. That's a lot of wine tastings in a day. But if they're
if they're wine tasting or wine drinking. There is a difference.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, I'm pretty sure, in a different episode. But there is a difference.
But go out to the airport and do like all of them at the airport one day. Check those out. Maybe downtown one day. Maybe the south side one day. Maybe the east side one day. And then you don't have to worry about crisscrossing back and forth.
Yeah.
And spending your time driving versus spending your time in someone's tasting room or at their vineyard, at their winery, enjoying what they have to offer. And so we have a lot of wine from Walla Walla, so we're going to be doing many more episodes on Walla Walla wines, many more episodes on Red Mountain wines. You know where we need to get to is Chelan.
We do. Chelan
We
is
have no
on
Chelan
our
wines at all.
zero. Absolutely zero. So if anybody would like to maybe gift us some wine,
Yeah.
Chelan is something that we don't have.
We haven't even drank much Chelan. I remember Nefarious.
Yep, and that was fabulous.
Yeah, but we haven't drank a lot of hardly any.
We have
Chelan wine.
not been exposed to Chelan as far as
It's been Red
winery,
Mountain,
yeah.
Walla Walla, a little bit of Oregon. Not hardly any Chelan, but we're getting there, folks. Give us some time. And unfortunately,
we can only drink so much so quickly.
the weather's setting in, so it's going to be snowing on the passes. So going over to Eastern Washington will probably be limited until, I guess, next spring. So maybe for the wintertime we go down and start checking out some Oregon stuff. They have some great Pinots.
This is recorded. He just said it, and you guys have to help me hold him to it now.
We have enough wine to last us for the next 10 years, I think. But
well, that just depends on how slow or how fast you drink.
if we have people to come out and share it with us.
Yeah, come share it with us. We have fabulous wines. You can come out and help us do bottom of the bottles, and
we could do group bottom of the bottle.
We could. It'd
be a whole different scene.
Oh yeah, it'd be a little crazy, but you'd get different perspectives. So
hey, wherever you're at, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us just sit here and ramble on about wine that we love and the experiences we've had. This one featuring Spring Valley Vineyard and Frederick, our friend Frederick, and we're looking forward to coming to you with our next episode. And I don't know who it's going to feature, but we'll find out when we do that. And wherever you're at, I hope we get a chance to meet you. Hope we get a chance to go taste some wine together and go have some fun times. And wherever you're at, we love you guys. From the bottom of the bottle, cheers. We'll see you next time.